There's a quiet hollowing out happening in the men over 30, a subtle fracturing. You might see it in the eyes of a colleague who seems perpetually burdened, hear it in the lengthening silence from a friend who used to be a constant, or perhaps you even feel it in your own chest, a persistent hum of something, incomplete, something slowly, almost imperceptibly falling apart. This isn't random. It's the result of ancient, unspoken accords of manhood, invisible contracts we inherit, dictating strength, silence, and a perilous solitude. Today, we're not just going to name these accords. We're going to dissect how they've historically engineered this quiet crisis, and more importantly, ask, are these the terms we still want to live by? Let's begin with the cornerstone, the accord of Stoic virtue. Picture the Roman general, impassive amidst chaos, or the Victorian patriarch, the pillar of unshakable composure. Historically, in times of brutal hardship, famine, war, relentless physical labor, emotional expression could be a liability. As historian Peter Stearns notes in Battleground of Desire, emotional control became a hallmark of masculine character, a necessary armor. But what was once protective armor in our modern world has often morphed into an emotional straitjacket. That ancient whisper to be strong, show no weakness still echoes. So, the modern man facing job insecurity, relationship strain, or existential doubt often defaults to this inherited stoicism. He feels the cracks forming, the internal pressure building, but the accord dictates silence, and so the first pieces begin to quietly fall apart, unseen. This stoic virtue rarely walks alone. It's usually propped up by the accord of the self-sufficient man, leading directly to the accord of fading friendships. Think of the frontier myth, the lone pioneer, figures celebrated in American culture, as Richard Slotkin explores in Regeneration Through Violence. This rugged individualism, while empowering in some contexts, has a shadow side. It whispers that needing help is weakness, that true strength means navigating every storm single-handedly. My grandfather, a man who survived the Depression, embodied this. He could build or fix anything, a testament to self-reliance. But this also meant he rarely asked for help, emotionally or otherwise. His friendships, though loyal, were conducted over shared tasks, fixing a tractor, discussing crop prices, rarely venturing into the terrain of the heart. As anthropologist Lionel Tiger observed, male bonds have often been shoulder-to-shoulder, activity-based. But what happens when life changes, when careers diverge, when family commitments pull those shared activities away? The calls become less frequent. The "we should get together" remains unfulfilled. Friendships don't explode, they silently atrophy, starved by the illusion that each man must handle his world alone. And the isolation deepens, another internal support quietly crumbling. It's a powerful narrative, isn't it? This expectation to be an unshakable, self-reliant island. And it makes me wonder, to what extent do you believe modern society, through media, workplace culture, or even family dynamics, still implicitly rewards men for this stoic self-sufficiency, even while we claim to value emotional openness and community? Where do you see that fundamental conflict playing out most starkly? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely love to hear your take on this. And then, often intensifying in the 30s and beyond, comes the crushing weight of the accord of unmet expectations. Historically, male roles, while often rigid, offered clearer pathways to recognized value: the provider, the protector, the craftsman. But today, the goalposts seem to constantly shift. The definition of success is more nebulous, more diverse, and, thanks to the curated perfection of social media, often feels impossibly out of reach. As psychologist Erik Erikson theorized, the challenge of generativity versus stagnation hits hard in midlife. If a man perceives a gap between his youthful aspirations, that brilliant career, the perfect family, the profound impact he hoped to make, and his current reality, a silent despair can take root. It's not necessarily a dramatic crisis, but a slow, corrosive sense of falling short, of being off track from a life he was supposed to live. This internal dissonance, this quiet grief for what might have been, is perhaps the most insidious way men find themselves quietly falling apart. So, we see it. These ancient accords, stoic virtue, self-sufficiency, fading friendships, and unmet expectations. They're not just abstract concepts. They are the invisible architecture constructing this quiet crisis for so many men. But this understanding isn't meant to be a eulogy for male well-being. It's a diagnosis. And with a diagnosis comes the possibility of treatment, of actively rewriting these outdated contracts. The question then becomes, how do we begin to dismantle these accords in our own lives, to stop this quietly falling apart and start a quietly rebuilding? It begins with small, intentional acts. To counter that ingrained stoicism, that emotional inarticulacy, consider the observation and one action log. It's simple. Each day, write one honest sentence about an internal feeling or social observation. Felt a pang of envy when Mark talked about his trip. Then, crucially, identify one micro-action taken, or that could be taken in response. Sent a text to an old friend to initiate a plan, or acknowledged the envy and reminded myself of my own upcoming hike. It's about linking self-awareness to agency, however small. Next, to challenge that illusion of self-sufficiency and rebuild those fading friendships, there's the mutual micro-favor exchange. Intentionally ask for a very small favor, or better yet, offer one first. Hey, could I get your quick take on this email? Or let me grab you a coffee. Then, be open to receiving or asking later. The Ben Franklin effect suggests we like those we help, and this reframes need as an opportunity for positive, reciprocal interaction, rebuilding interdependence one tiny exchange at a time. And finally, to address that internal isolation and the weight of unspoken emotions, there's the silent witness with social observation practice. Dedicate 10 to 15 minutes, a few times a week, to just being present with something larger, nature, art, music. But then, gently shift to mindfully observing others if you're in a public space, or social dynamics in a film. Notice expressions, interactions, your own reactions, all without judgment. It's a way to connect with the world and your inner state without the pressure of words, fostering a quiet sense of perspective and belonging. These aren't magic bullets, but they are starting points. They are conscious choices to push back against centuries of conditioning. Because why men over 30 are quietly falling apart is no longer just a question to ponder. It's a call to understand, to challenge, and to begin. One honest sentence, one small favor, one quiet moment at a time. The vital work of putting ourselves and each other back together. If you like this dive into human psychology through history, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thanks for watching Historic Psychology, and I'll see you on the next one.